I guess I just woke up to a pretty cool update regarding Exile 2's endgame. So in my latest video talking about the current state of Exile 2, one of the things I said is I like that they are less defensive about certain feedback, and this is kind of just another step in that. Jonathan sat down for 4 minutes and talked about the state of endgame and that he understands that something's wrong. Also, he acknowledges once again that the next patch is the big update, but he also wants to ship out something already. And here's where we get into the first thing, towers and tablets. Towers have been basically removed from the game. And this is how it will look like. So you can see your map here. He has 0 revives available, so you can unlock the full waystones. If you had less modifiers, you could only, tablets. You could put in 2 tablets if you had less modifiers. But they now have charges remaining, as you can see right here. I think he hovers over it in a second. And here, uses remaining. So I don't know if 10 is the main, but yeah, there's probably differing things. They did increase the power of modifiers because now you can't overlap towers anymore. And they give some examples in the announcement here. And as you can see, some of these values are up to tripled. The roll range is a lot higher, so on average, it's around about double. But overall, great change, right? Okay, so the second huge change is that they made it so every map now has a boss, and that is for a particular reason, which is people were annoyed by having to go from rare to rare to rare, and then one rare is over there, and it does feel weird. In the video, he describes how you're basically just like having the minimap overlay, and then you're just going from rare to rare to rare. You aren't even looking at the map, and that is definitely the feeling I got as well. So now there will be a map boss in every map. Now, I think that's a good thing overall. The bosses in PoE 2 are not as easy as, for example, in PoE 1. I will say that. So this could be quite interesting, especially in terms of build selection, where maybe single target is going to matter a lot more. I know this league wasn't particularly hard, but I can see leagues where there isn't as much power creep through crafting, and all of a sudden it might get a little bit rough because you cannot complete the map unless you kill the boss. But now the map completion, according to him, will be killing the boss, and you can kill as many or as little rares as you want, in his words. But these boss maps are now powerful map bosses which just drop more stuff and are harder to do. So overall, I think a great change. And to round this out, in terms of tablets and towers, they also talk about unique tablets have their own amount of uses, which is probably a good idea because then they can balance it a little bit more discreetly. This wording also makes me think that we'll always have 10 uses on everything, which is good. When using tablets in the reforging, so you cannot, for example, use all your tablets 9 times, then only have 1 use remaining, and then make a new tablet and you have 10 again. That will not be possible. The number of uses remaining. Okay, so also there will be an icon where you can actually see. You don't have to hover over to see the uses, which is very nice. Existing tablets have been applied to Atlas remain. Okay, either way. Now, next big thing, as you guys know, I'm a pretty big proponent for is map size reduction. Some maps took longer than others to navigate or complete, so we reduced the size. Okay, so these are affected. And as you can see from this list, if you're playing a lot, some of these have been a little bit of an issue. Some of them less so, but we'll have to see. Now, I think that overall, this plus the fact that you don't have to go to every single rare anymore will make the map feel a lot smaller. Do I think this is going to address the issue? Not really. I don't know how this looks like, right? I don't know what they mean with, like, they did say considerably longer than they want it to be. So we'll have to check. But overall, I think that's definitely a good step in the right direction. Then they talk about the Atlas tree. And this is just a few placeholders until next league where, for example, the map nodes have been a little bit rearranged because you can now have a map boss or a powerful map boss in every single map, remember, because you don't have to set up towers anymore. So they have to make some nodes a little bit worse for the time being. Overall, they're still pretty buffed, but yeah. Citadels have had their spawn rate increased by 66%. Also very good. 0 times 1.66. Somebody can do the math on that. And then we have other improvements, which, yeah, apparently there was some issues with some bosses not getting all their HP. And yeah, less AoE of, for example, Ignited Ground is definitely a good change as well. Overall, I think a great change. I love that they didn't wait for all of this until 0.4 because there are still a ton of people playing PoE 2 as we're speaking. So, great change. I did also forget about Alchemy orbs apparently. So Alchemy orbs can now be applied on magic. Is it just maps or is it... No, can now just be used on magic items. Oh, that's very interesting. That is very, very interesting. But it does apply to maps. So for everybody who's kind of been having to first Aug, then Regal, then Exalt their map to get to 4 modifiers, you can now straight up just take your magic maps and just throw on Orb of Alchemies, and there you go. But as I was saying, I think it's great that they put it out right now, and I cannot wait for 0.4 and see how their whole system will look like once everything gets revamped. We're now at basically the stone ages of PoE 1. If you've never played PoE 1 before, you won't notice, but they have done a ton of changes in the last patch, the patch before, and also now that are very much PoE 1 related, that have already been solved 10 years ago in PoE 1. So if you see some PoE 1 players being frustrated or something, I will say this, I don't think it's bad that they're trying to reinvent all this stuff, because some good things also stuck, right? So trying to basically reconsider everything that they did ever since 2012 is not necessarily a bad thing. And if they ever did it, they would do it in early access. But I think moving forward, they will be taking some more drastic steps. Obviously, I'll link all of this down below in the description. Nice little patch to look forward to. As far as I understand, this comes out next week. So if you're still playing PoE 2, then that's a big deal. Thank you guys for watching. And since I still don't have a slogan, see you next time.